Hello, my name is Vincent, and welcome. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the second half of my Imperial Guard Epic 40k collection here at Bunker 6. Before we move on to the Imperial Guard army, I must include these little guys before we move any further. These are actually Space Marine Scouts, but I forgot to include them in my Space Marine video, but here they are now. These do come in plastic and in metal, and these are the 2004 released Epic Armageddon version of the Scouts. And although it says Games Workshop at the bottom of this piece of paper, these were actually Forge World casts of the Titan Hunter Shadow Sword tanks. The upper sponsons, as you will be able to see, are missing, but I do actually have them. I just didn't really feel like attaching them temporarily onto the tanks just for this video. And if I can draw your attention to the barrel on this last tank, you'll notice that it's warped. That is not bent, it's just warped. This is a common trait with many models that are made of resin, where even slight heat can cause things to warp out of place. But it's easily repairable if you're patient and take your time. All you need to use is a hairdryer, or as I recommend, hot water. Just place the object under hot water or in heat for a certain period of time. It should be able to become flexible again and malleable, and you'll be able to overbend it, sort of you overcorrect, and then it should eventually stay in its original position once cool again. And here are the sponsons that I mentioned that belong on the tanks. Now, I'm obsessed with Epic 40k and Epic Armageddon, the last two editions that Games Workshop released, but sadly they never released a GORGON tank in those editions. And this is actually a VARDA heavy transport vehicle produced by Trolls Under the Bridge, which is a Prague-based modelling company out of the Czech Republic. And they've done a fantastic job. As you can see, the details are very crisp, and the white metal editions are also a nice touch. I'm not entirely sure if this is 6 or 10mm, but either way, it's fabulous to have in the collection. This is a really special model, and I can't believe I have 4 of them, but this is the Epic 40k Earthshaker Carriage. It is being pulled by a Trojan support vehicle. And once again, these sculpts were produced by the exceptionally talented Brian Fawcett. And if you wanted a pack of 2 of these back in 2004, they would have cost you a whole £5. And the Trojan vehicles for a pack of 3 would have cost you £5 too. Fed up of carrying your Manticore around on a tank? Well, you can just have it on a platform if you want. And these are the sculpts produced by Brian Fawcett, and they would have cost you £5 and released once again by Forge World. This is a set of 4 Brunhilde Baron Siegemaster land crawlers. And here is some information you're not going to hear every day from the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. But these aren't like Land Raiders. They're not like land speeders. They're actually agricultural vehicles, used across billions of agri-worlds every day by the Imperium, and it's actually considered one of the most important STC constructs ever discovered. Why? Well, Space Marines need to eat, and you gotta have tractors in the 41st millennium whether you like it or not. And one of the other jobs that the Brunhilde had was to pull these as a gun transport, and these are the GOTTERDAMMERUNG and Blitzen artillery units. And in the year 433 M40, the autarch of the planet Krieg in Segmentum Tempestus declared himself independent from the Imperium and renounced the Emperor as his divine master. That would be a mistake. The Gotterdammerung was developed during the 500-year Civil War to take on this rebellion. This rebellion lasted for 500 years, continents wide, a war so grinding its successes were never measured in miles, but merely in yards or even feet. The longer-barreled artillery piece is actually the Blitzen, and the Gotterdammerung is the shorter of the two. The Blitzen is an anti-aircraft gun that was developed from the Gotterdammerung howitzer, utilizing the same chassis, but it was cheaper to produce and easier to build and maintain. And as the Krieger Civil War progressed, both sides launched huge bombing raids on opposing cities. Massive air combats took place, as the bomber formations and their escorting fighters attempted to battle their way through to attack the enemy cities and factory complexes. This is a trio of epic 40k Stormblades produced by Forge World, once again sculpted by Brian Fawcett. And if you're looking to pick up any of these models from the internet and you're not too familiar with them, please make sure that you check the upper sponts and turrets. They are so easy to snap off, and I would hate for you to buy a model that is incomplete. The Stormblade Super Heavy Tank is a variant of the Astra Militarum's Shadow Sword Titan Killer Tank, and that big gun on the front is a plasma blast gun. And here we have from left to right 3 Baneblades and 1 Shadow Sword tank. I'll be replacing the missing sponsons with recast ones that I'll make in the future. These super heavy tanks are very imposing on the battlefield. In terms of their scale, they are pretty much twice the size of the Lehman Russ tanks, and they're absolutely brilliant. Once again, these are from the 3rd edition 1997 Epic 40k release, and they have all those details that I love so much from this particular edition. The weapons for the Baneblade include the bolter cannon, autocannon, demolisher cannon, heavy bolter, and 2 laser cannons. For the Shadow Sword, you have a volcano cannon and 2 heavy bolters. Here are a selection of Forge World tanks, once again sculpted by Brian Fawcett. We start off with the Destroyer Tank Hunter. Then we move on to a Vanquisher. We have 2 Executioner tanks here, 3 Thunderer Siege tanks, 2 standard Chimera tanks, and 1 Chimera tank featuring a heavy bolter variant. Each tank listed here would have been sold for £5 for a pack of 3 from Forge World in 2004. Here we have 8 Lehman Russ Demolishers, and these are the Riser pattern. And unlike its sister tank, the Lehman Russ, the Demolisher was designed for one task: line breaking. With a shorter ranged main gun, the Demolisher uses high explosive concussion shells to smash through enemy infantry lines and shatter fortifications. The Demolisher's sponsons have been refitted to accommodate either plasma cannons or heavy flamers, making it particularly adept at trench clearing. Here is a complete set of 3 Forge World Hydras, once again sculpted by Brian Fawcett, and would have cost you £5 for all 3 of these, ordered directly from Forge World. They're quite different from the actual Games Workshop models. Their tracks are thinner, and the overall model seems a little bit simpler in its execution. Some may prefer the cleanness of this, but I actually prefer the complexity and additional details that were added to the Games Workshop sculpts. This is a Warlord class Battle Titan. I have a couple of these in my collection, but this actually has some missing parts. But that inspired me to want to try and take on a model that is the Deathstrike weapon configuration that can be found on page 146 of the Epic Armageddon rulebook. This variant has a rocket launcher, a Deathstrike missile, the original Gatling blaster, and a Power Fist. And after really analysing the photograph, I think I've ascertained this is actually a kit-bashed model, yet it's surprising that it's made it into the official rules of the Epic Armageddon book. The shoulder-mounted rocket launcher is actually a Cyclone missile launcher from a Metal Terminator, and the sonar system on top of the Titan is actually a mine from Battlefleet Gothic, but the Power Fist I'm completely lost on. Purchased these models from eBay. They were just called Super Heavy Tanks. Now you can tell from the striations that they're obviously not official GW products, but I'm not entirely sure where they are from. I'm just assuming they are forum wear, but they look like nice sculpts, so I picked them up anyway off of eBay. I didn't present it in the video, but these tanks come with a lot of additional weaponry. Now these are very old. These are the first edition Thunderbolt and Marauder models. The Thunderbolt is absolutely adorable, and I quite like the Marauder too. The way in which they have the pipes coming out of the engines is quite a nice touch. These are the 1997 Epic 40K Marauders. Very nice sculpts indeed. And these are the Cypra Mundi pattern variants. We will be making recasts of the bomb racks that we already have to add to the models where the bomb racks are missing. And these planes have twin las cannons and twin heavy bolters to go with those bomb racks too. These are 3 variants of the Basilisk tank from the 3rd edition Epic 40K game. As you can see, they've all got a little different flavour to them, with all little different details. And I just love it. Look at all the details even on the back. You got some with sandbags, some with little boxes. Just brilliant. Love the attention to detail on these. And just as an aside, I'm very happy that miniwars.co.uk, a website that has comprehensive information about Epic, has been using one of my finished models of this Basilisk as a reference image for their website. And now we're moving on to some of the infantry, and here we have the Imperial Guard Stormtroopers. They're either equipped with the Hellgun or Plasma Gun. Often referred to as glory boys by regular guardsmen, Stormtroopers are nevertheless the elite troops of the Imperial Guard. They are tasked with missions best suited to their advanced training by the Scholar Progenium in infiltration and covert operations, with access to the best equipment including Valkyrie gunships. Stormtrooper squads are used to spearhead assaults on fortified enemy positions and key installations. These are a series of Imperial commander bases. Raised on thousands of worlds, the command structure and title rank of officers in the Imperial Guard varies immensely from regiment to regiment. Some are schooled through specialized academies, others drawn only from noble families or known Imperial bloodlines. Here we have 2 stands of the Imperial Guard Ogrins. They are strong, loyal, but not particularly bright. The Ogrins are well known for their brute strength and are widely indentured into Imperial Guard regiments as shock troops and bodyguards. And despite their intellectual shortcomings, the Imperial Guard officers were always impressed with the unshakable faith that the Ogrins had in the Emperor. This is a single base of assault troops and a Colossus robot. And finally, the big one. Yes, the Zeppelin. While looking things up on the internet for Epic 40K, I came across this model that was created by a fan of Epic 40K. This person is called Warmaster Nice, and they came up with this. Wow, an Imperial Guard airship. Over the past couple of years, I've tried to analyze the photographs and find as many of the pieces as possible that resemble the kit bashing that's been going on here. I've got about 80% of the parts, I think. We have some Plasdrock parts, we have some Battlefleet Gothic parts, and some 1st edition artillery parts too. Absolutely amazing. And I cannot wait to remake this model on the channel. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. If you'd like to see these pictures in your own time, and also many more models that have been painted to an exceptionally high standard, I highly recommend you checking out Warmaster Nice's WordPress page, and you can find that at theepiclounge.wordpress.com. You will find an eclectic range from Battlefleet Gothic to the Tyranids to the Eldar, all painted very well. Very great resource for me, and I'd be thrilled if I could paint to a fraction of the standard that Warmaster Nice has done on their WordPress page. As you can see from the video, I'm comparing and contrasting some of the parts that I have that seem to reflect the parts that are in the original model. Some of the other parts like these are additions that I may or may not add myself. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a one-to-one copy yet. And if you want to make your own copy, you can pick up this model. It's called a Graf Zeppelin II, and you should be able to find that pretty easily online. And as you can see, I'm just going through the varied packages of parts that do and do not entirely match the original source material. I'm so motivated to get this model finished. I love kit bashing more than anything. It's wonderful fun, and I think this would be a great centerpiece to any Imperial Guard collection. I've tried my best to get as close to the original source material as possible, but if we can't find everything, I'll make some adjustments here and there. And as you can see, this is just a small collection of the parts that I found along the way that look pretty similar to what I've seen in the original photographs. And that's the wonderful thing about scratch building. You're only really limited by your imagination because you can build what you want. And as an insurance policy, I've got some additional parts here just in case I don't fully know how something was built. This is for the undercarriage, for example. And although kit bashing is great fun, when you're trying to copy someone else's work without the instructions, that can be a world of pain. And here are some Vanguard miniatures, which I thought were great for the purpose of loading the artillery guns on the airship. I know that in the original source material, I think official models were being used, but these look just as good in my opinion. They're holding shells and they're loading things up. It looks perfect. And they were cheap considering how many I got. And it might seem random, but there's some pretty cool parts on this Lehman Russ upgrade kit, for example, those track covers that I think would be really nice additions to the model. And even though it is challenging, it is a heck of a lot of fun trying to figure out what parts were used in a kit bash. If you know the year that a kit bash was finished, you know, generally speaking, that there's no parts after that year which would have been used. So I can always just look back in time, and eventually I'll find the right parts along the way. I'm going to use that missile probably for the Warlord Titan conversion, and those Aquillas are going to be perfect for the side of the airship too. I am so thoroughly excited about starting this project. Well, there we have it, the Imperial Guard Epic 40k collection. We have lots to paint, that's for sure. But we've got one more army to go, which is going to be broken up into another two-part series, which is the Orcs. And my goodness, there's even more Orcs than the Space Marines and Imperial Guard put together. But that's to be expected with the Orcs, really, isn't it? Anyway, I appreciate all of the comments I've been receiving, and I'm loving being able to see and read all these amazing stories from people's past experiences with Epic. It's wonderful, and of course it resonates with me and my own experience. But as always, keep the dialogue going, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And I've been Vincent, and until next time, this is Bunker 6.